I'm Danny Baranowsky. I write music for video games. I did music for Super Meat Boy, Cannibal, Binding of Isaac, Cave Story 3D, lots of other stuff. So I played around with a lot of audio programs on the computer growing up, Guitar Pro, Cakewalk, that kind of stuff. And then a little bit after high school, started using Fruity Loops to do remixes for OC Remix, Overclocked Remix. Got some remixes up there and worked on, getting better at making stuff, and then moved on to using Reason and Cubase and just kept doing it for a long time, and eventually I met Adam Atomic in Edmond and did some big games, and now I do it for a living somehow. First I went there just as a fan. I was looking up Final Fantasy remixes on Kazaa, like everybody my age was back then, and I found one that had a link to OC Remix, and I went there and just listened to stuff for a while, and got connected with some guys. I met a guy named Ari Patricity, who lived in Phoenix, and I got to meet him and talk to him, and he showed me some Reason stuff, and I thought I want to do music for a living. I don't know how, but remixing was a good way for me to have material to work with, so I didn't have to come up with stuff before I could start making music, and so I could use other people's melodies and rhythms and stuff and learn how the programs worked and not have to worry about coming up with original stuff, because when you're first starting out, pretty much everything you come up with just kind of sucks. So with Super Meat Boy, I had done some stuff with Adam Atomic, Cannibal, and Gravity Hooks and this stuff, and Edmund had heard of me through that, and just started talking, and we did some Flash games together. We did Gray Matter, the original Meat Boy, a couple other things, and then eventually he just said, "We're doing Super Meat Boy, do you want to do it?" And just for a couple of years we did it, and people liked it, and kind of here we are. So it was kind of cool because some of the stages were pretty similar to the original Meat Boy, and so what I did is I took a few tracks from the original one and redid them, remixed them, because and it was very natural to me because it's what I've been doing for so long, and redid them for new tracks in there. So I had an alpha early on so I could feel how the game played and all that kind of stuff, but just like any gig, you just do what you think sounds right, and you get feedback from the developer and try to do it for them as good as you can, but also if you think things should be a certain way, push back, that whole back and forth thing, and just wait till the last minute and crank it all out in the last week, which a lot of them were. I didn't totally wait till the last minute at all. So Binding of Isaac was just supposed to be a little 4 or 5 week game, and then was like, hey, do you want to do some stuff? Sure. I didn't think it would, I thought it would be fun, but I didn't think it would be anything, and he kept adding and adding to it, and it went on for a while, and Binding of Isaac was really cool because, so I did all the music for it originally, and then he did an expansion almost a year later. So for a year, I got to just see the game out there in the wild, see how people reacted to it and all that kind of stuff. And I got to, it's not like an album where you just do all these songs and you put them out there and that's it. You got to, see how people react to them and do covers of them and that kind of stuff, but then you get to add more to it later. So I did a lot of new tracks for the expansion. And actually, it's just this really cool meta thing where I actually hired a guy who did metal covers of Isaac music to do guitar for the final boss theme. And so it's just this really cool, weird back and forth organic process between what I had written and what, fans had done. And I don't know of any other medium where that kind of thing would happen. So it was really cool. I like being independent. I like not getting up till noon and not wearing pants. So it's more that I just kind of want to do music for stuff, and if it's indie or AAA, whatever. I haven't really done any AAA stuff, but I'm not against it. indie games are often more interesting to work on because, you know, they tend to be less formulaic. Not always the case, but yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna keep writing music, and wherever it takes me is where it is. I'd like to see more interesting uses of kind of adaptive music. I think there's a lot of room left there where you have kind of games that the gameplay generates music and games where the music generates the gameplay, like Guitar Hero or whatever. I think there's a lot of room in there. I think Rez was a really good example of something that kind of blended the two, but I feel like any experimental stuff in the future is going to go there. That'd be cool. You know, just more, I really liked how Bastion's title credits music had vocals in it. I think it'd be cool to have more of that, as long as it's appropriate. I really like tower defense games, which makes me feel like a middle-aged woman, but whatever. Strategy stuff, I mean, shooters once in a while. I'm really looking forward to Bioshock Infinite, just because it's that. Skyrim, just anything. I don't really have a type or anything. I don't even like skew to indie or AAA. I think there's good stuff everywhere. But yeah, I mean, it's never like, I'm never really like, oh, I'm into this game because of the music or whatever. It's just whatever's fun. That's a horrible answer, I'm sorry. If I could do any franchise, I mean, I think it would be really cool to work on Star Wars, just because of Star Wars. I'm not sure if I even care if it was good or not. It would just be Star Wars, which I think is like what most of the actors in the prequels felt too, so I would do the same thing. But I mean, no, I mean, it'd be great to work on, I mean, if I worked on like Nintendo stuff, like Mario or Zelda, I probably never would. I don't see any way that would happen, but you know, I mean, when I did Cave Story, I redid Cave Story, and it's such a legendary game in like the indie scene, and just, you know, there was a lot of pressure because I knew no matter how good it was, like people were going to hate it because it wasn't the original. So I don't know, as long as it's something where I can still like make something original and be a part of it and not just rehash somebody else's stuff, I mean, that's what I'd be more into. So I play video games. We picked up archery recently because, as you can see, I'm a lot like Legolas, very svelte and elf-like. But recently I've been getting more into, I'm trying to learn some game design and just see where that goes. I've never thought of myself as a game designer, but I've recently been wanting to try it. I like playing with my dog. Her name's Yoshi. Hi, Yoshi. Good girl. You know, just normal stuff, hanging out. So I'm doing the music for Desktop Dungeons with Grant Kirkhope, who is the guy who did Perfect Dark and GoldenEye, Banjo-Kazooie, Donkey Kong 64, total music legend. And I grew up listening to his stuff, leaving the music on the TV and stuff. And now we like make sex jokes at each other and have a good time. And he's a horrible person, but I put up with him because I'm afraid of him. But no, so we're working on Desktop Dungeons, and it's gonna be really good. Doing a game called Drifter by Celsius Game Studios, where it's like a space trading game. So I'm getting to do something a little different than the erratic, manic music that people seem to know me for, which is gonna be nice, more ambient kind of stuff. And then I'm gonna be putting out in April an album of B-sides of stuff that over the years I've done, but for one reason or another never came out. Because I want to start doing original albums more in the future, and felt like a good time to just get it all out there and see what people think, because there's a ton of music I did that no one's ever heard, and some of it's fucking awful, but I mean, you know, people pay for anything. No, please don't cut that. You know, when I think about, when people ask me that, how to get in the industry, all the advice I ever got, there was never any specific advice that ever worked. all you can really do is just do more broad strokes. Like, you have to get better at what you do. You have to constantly improve. You have to network. You have to not be an asshole. It's just typical stuff you hear all the time, but it's pretty much true. Like, you just have to do it for a long time, and it's hard work and luck and everything. And I wish, I used to ask people like the same question, like, how do you get into it? And no one would ever give me like a straight answer. I'm like, why don't you just tell me so I can do it? And there's no answer, because everybody I know who's making a living in games and music and anything did it completely differently. When I was younger, I thought I would just do really good music and then a record company would find me and pick me up and take care of me. That's just not, I guess you could still do that, but that's stupid. So just working on what you do and never stopping. The one constant between everyone is just the people who are here didn't stop and the people who aren't did. So keep at it, buddy.